The Miami Hurricanes went 10-3 last year, had one of the best offenses in the country, led by Cam Ward, who ended up going first overall. So he's a huge loss for them, including other big losses. They lost their top 6 weapons from last year, pass catching wise. So they're looking to replace a lot, and like every other team, they went to the portal for that. They're looking to start 9 transfers. So a new look Miami team. Biggest question: how do y'all view Carson Beck? Do you think Carson Beck is someone that can come in, start playing like a good quarterback again, lead this team to another double-digit win season, or is he going to be more of the same Carson Beck from last year?
I can go first. In my notes next to Carson Beck, I put about 8 question marks because I don't really know what to do with him. His numbers have never been even close to Cam Ward's numbers, and so. But then there's also the part of me that's like, but he played in the SEC, so that's different than playing in the ACC. I just kept bouncing back and forth, and I couldn't make up my mind about whether I thought that he was going to put up 40 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, or if he was going to put up 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Like, I could not figure it out. I'm not super excited about the weapons that he has there, and I think that we've seen Beck at his best when he has an elite weapon like he did with Brock Bowers. That's what it's 8 question marks. I really don't know what to do. My expectations for him, I think I'm going to lean towards lower than like if I'm on the lower end of the expectations for Carson Beck, I think is the best way to say it.
You're like 40th percentile.
Yeah. I don't want to say below. I think he will be a below average quarterback, but on the spectrum of people's expectations for him, I am below average on that spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see him being a below average quarterback.
No,
here.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, gotcha. I was going
to say. I'm saying I don't I am below average on the expectations for him. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm tracking now.
Okay, cool. I see him being an above average quarterback.
JP, I see a thought for me.
I think he got confused. I think I confused everyone. My apologies.
I think the biggest thing is that people this year are going to compare him to Cam Ward.
Unfair.
And so unfair. Even with Carson Beck being potentially the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, going into last season, I still think it's unfair to expect anything compared to what Cam Ward did last year when he broke school records and national records as the quarterback in Miami. But I think he's going to be good. I think Miami is in the ACC championship for me. They are going to play the Clemson Tigers in the ACC championship. I have a lot of faith in Mario Cristobal and how this team will perform. Their biggest thing last year was they could not stop anyone. If you go down their games from last year, they gave up over a 3-week period. You give up 34, 38, 45 and win all of those games. You give up 42 and lose to Syracuse. You give up, even in the bowl game, 42 to Iowa State, losing essentially a New Year's Six bowl game and the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It should be. That needs to go in the New Year's Six Bowl.
I'll sign that petition.
But they could not stop anyone. So defensively, they're going to have to be so much better this year for me to be right in that prediction of having them in the ACC championship. But I think the big thing, people might react to that and say, "Oh, that's crazy. You're going to have them in the ACC championship. They have to play Florida. They have to play Notre Dame." Yeah,
doesn't matter.
They're not in the ACC. That has nothing to do with them.
They got to play Bethune-Cookman.
Reaching the ACC championship. And, in fact, if you look at their ACC games, they avoid Clemson. They avoid Georgia Tech. They're going to be in a good spot here. They get to host Louisville. At SMU might be tough, but in reality, there's not really a necessarily super tough ACC game there. And because of that, I think they're going to go. I think there'll be one loss in the ACC, and reach the ACC championship for me this year. They don't have to win win Notre Dame or Florida, and I think they'll split one of those. They're going to win one of those games. Just given the questions at quarterback for Notre Dame, and then
getting them week 1's really nice in that regard as well.
Florida is really viewed really highly, but Florida very easily could lose that game with Sunbelt Billy Napier. So I expect them to be in the ACC championship game. I expect Carson to play really well. coming off a breakup. But more importantly, I think health will be a good factor there. If he's healthy this year, which the signs are good.
Yeah.
The notes and the stories are good so far from camp. So I expect him to play well this year. But comparing him to Cam Ward, which much of the media is going to do, and even the general public all year, is just completely unfair to him and to how he succeeds this year.
You will not be happy with this play if you look to compare him to Cam Ward.
Yeah.
It's a great point. The defense couldn't stop anyone last year, and I think that's really what has to improve this year. I expect the offense to still be pretty good, but it probably won't be at the level it was last year with Cam Ward, and so you're not going to win all these barn burners. It's going to have to tighten up. A couple key players defensively, I think that could help that. Ruben Bain off the edge is a very highly touted NFL prospect. He had 3.5 sacks last year and 23 tackles. And then they bring in Xavier Lucas, a corner from Wisconsin, who had 12 solo tackles last year and a pick. They could look to help the defense improve because it's going to need to. And then additionally, they were 120th in the nation last year in penalty yards. So great teams. They're not in the bottom 5th in that category. They're not in the bottom 20 in that category. You will lose games if you have that many penalty yards. They need to look to clean that up. Finally, I just want to give him a shout-out. Bert Auburn, thank you for selling Texas that game last year, or trying to. It was glorious, but he's the first special teams player to make the list. He transfers from Texas to be their kicker. So
Probably the only special teams player that will make this list.
I don't know. It was just funny. Like I'm looking at their depth chart, and this guy pops up, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I know that name. He transferred.
I have a lot of. Oh, go ahead.
No, you have a lot of thoughts.
I
so
have a
rip
lot
them.
of questions
Oh.
about wide receivers.
Sure.
They lost their top 6 weapons from last year. They have 2 starters projected to transfer, 1 guy from in-house. Between the 3 of them, they had less than 1,000 yards receiving last year, which I keep banging the table about this. Like, if you're bringing in transfer wide receivers, I'm of the opinion that either they need to be like 5 stars who rode the bench and are redshirting, or put up like 1,200 yards and like 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Miami. Now, if you're Miami and you're going to get wide receivers to compete to be a playoff team, they need to be those high-profile guys. These 2 guys, or the 3 guys they're starting, combined for less than 1,000 yards. That's just very underwhelming, in my opinion. So that's one of my other concerns for Carson Beck is the weapons he'll be throwing to do not impress me. I will say this. I'm really interested to see what – this might be the most talented team in the ACC.
Exactly what I was about to say.
At least it is from a recruiting profile. They have finished first in the high school recruiting every year in the ACC for the last 3 years. So first out of 14 and 23, first out of 17, first out of 17. They have the number 1 transfer portal class in the ACC this year. This team is very talented.
I mean, yeah.
And I thought I was actually going to pick them to win the ACC, but it is the offense that concerns me. I just don't know what the offense is going to look like with the transfers in Carson Beck and then the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small worry, but the reason I'm not too concerned and I expect them to field a pretty good offense again is the talent you've just talked about and their ability to bring guys in. I don't think they're the most talented team in the ACC. I'd give that to Clemson because I think Clemson's scouting and development is better. So just because you're first in the rankings doesn't
Right.
actually mean you brought in the most talented
When
class. And I know you know that, but by the rankings, they're the most talented team over the past couple years. But yeah, I think the talent will play here and it'll get the job done. Do we want to look to that win total?
Over under 9.5.
9.5. It's a bit of a scary one considering the game against Notre Dame and Florida out of conference before you even look in conference. I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the under here. I don't know if I feel confident picking this team to win double-digit games.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to lean under. I thought I was about to pick the over, but I'm in my head. I think I'm Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame and Florida is probably 2 losses, and you still have Florida State. You still have at SMU. SMU was in the conference championship game last year. They may not be as good as they were last year, but that could still be a challenging game. I don't see this team getting double. I think that they're going to drop 3 wins or 3 games.
JP's taking the over.
No, I
Wow.
think they're going to go under as well, but finish 9-3 and make the ACC championship game.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
I think that's a good prediction. And
I
now
mean, they're going to do what Clemson did last year. They're going to lose because Clemson lost to Georgia and South Carolina, and then performed well in the ACC. Lost 1 ACC game, I guess. So I could see Miami doing the same, lose to Notre Dame, lose to Florida. Maybe you lose at Florida State or you lose maybe to Louisville, but you drop an ACC game and still make the ACC championship and still could make the playoffs.
Yeah. I think it's very fair. That's our Miami Hurricanes preview.